What's up, guys? We had a lovely lunch. Well, other than the fact that I didn't make anything, I just set the all right. I don't know if this is what age this is at. He looks way too young here for this to be recent.
Ain't this a America's heroes who fought in our wars?
Oh, okay, this has nothing to do with... Okay, yeah, I'm not doing that. This is all old news. This has nothing to do with moderns. Oh. Well, then here we go!
We just got one of League's best comics. It reveals the new champion, it has godly lore, all puns intended, and it is 10 minutes long. It felt like I was watching a mini episode of Arcane. Not to mention, the animations in the comics are getting fancy. But yes, yesterday we got hit with a massive lore bomb, where out of nowhere we got the new comic called The Truth, which overall serves as a setup for the final season of this year. And oh boy, what a setup it is! And so, without further ado, let's start munching on all the awesome lore, just to give us all the context we might need. The comic begins with a quick TLDR of the story that happened so far. Essentially, after many years of no spirit blossoming happening because of the Noxian invasion, they finally returned, and somehow Xin Zhao managed to get his own wild bloom to blossom in Demacia, which should be impossible, and so he decided to travel to Ionia to see what happened. There he met Master Kennen, who invited him to the Temple of Koshin, which is where demons started attacking a nearby town. All of that happened in the minigame that we played, where Xin Zhao and Yunara defeated the demons, fighting game style. But then they heard the alarm coming from the Temple of Twilight, which is where Yunara's patron, who was one of the Darkin, was sealed. Because as was teased before, it seems like LeBlanc used the demons as a distraction to invade the temple. So currently, Yunara and Xin Zhao are rushing back to the temple to see what happened. And that is where this comic starts. We have Yunara pushing them all towards the temple. However, Xin Zhao got stopped by something odd. He witnessed visions of a fallen Demacia. Of course, this is referencing the skins which we are getting in the game. Specifically, visions of the fallen Jarvan and Garen. As to what these visions are even doing here, well, that is a mystery. Because everyone present got confused by these visions. And so naturally, Xin Zhao asked who would be so powerful to cause these. Kennen hesitated, because to reveal who actually caused these visions would mean he would have to reveal a Koshin secret. But after we learned that Yunara trusts Xin Zhao because they fought side by side, Kennen spilled the beans. And so, Kennen...
Bro, Kennen looks dope, man. He looks like an old wizened fool. I love it! I love it!
Asks Xin Zhao what he knows about the Darkin, and that is where something really cool happens. Because in this scene, Xin Zhao essentially acts as us, and he talks about the lore that we know about the Darkin. He essentially told Kennen what the players know, which would be the general Darkin overview. So he talked about how they were monsters from an ancient time that waged war across the world. That would be the Darkin Wars. And because Xin Zhao studied a lot of Demacian history, or at least I assume so, he also mentioned how there was a Darkin who attacked ancient Demacia, where the Winged Protectors saved them all after their battles soon after the Rune Wars. Here he is referencing the battle between Aatrox and Gale and Morgana, which is a scene all of you may remember from the cinematic still here. Also, it is cool how Xin Zhao calls ancient Demacians the children of Orlon, because Orlon, who was the original wielder of Poppy's hammer, is the person who founded Demacia. Anyway, after this little segment, Kennen mentions that all of these are just stories. And oftentimes, stories cover a darker truth that actually happened, which is also the case for Ionia. Because while Xinjiao was talking about the story of the devoted maiden, which is what we talked about last time, the real story that happened was quite different. And so, Yunara tells us what really happened here. The comic sets up the scene as 15 centuries ago. And looking at the timeline of this universe, it checks out. This was the time of the Great Darkin War. Here Yunara mentions that nobody knew why the Darkin arrived in Ionia. But soon after they did, they gathered a lot of followers. And they managed to destroy everything in their path. Goshin was the last Kinku stronghold that was still standing. And as you can see here, it too was attacked by a Darkin. Specifically, from the setup we got in the previous comic, this Darkin should be Pra. The Darkin who would eventually be turned into a Darkin fan. Which is where we also have to mention one more thing. It is not every time that a Darkin gets sealed inside their own weapon. For example, here you can...
Like, even in my own story of Ill of Men, one of the things that makes League of Legends lore so interesting is how they actually flesh out an entire timeline of events to be where we are currently in the world. Something that I have to do in the Colors of the Five Kingdoms story that I'm working on. Well, actually Ill of Men, but the Colors of the Five Kingdoms is a supplementary story that runs alongside that. I think what I have to start doing is I have to start fulfilling more of the actual history other than just the character. I feel like that would be make the world more grandiose and real and lived in and tragic even.
You can see that Pra had some kind of a blade, but eventually they became a fan anyway. And later you will potentially see another example of this. Anyway, just as the Ionians prayed to the shrine spirits, their savior arrived. An uncorrupted Darkin, which is someone whom we know by many names. The Ascended, the Golden God Warriors, but Yunara called him a god of the Third Land. Now this is a really cool reference, because of course to Ionians, Ionia is called the First Lands.
Yes.
And while this was never explained, it was always assumed that they call Ionia the First Lands because historically, while we don't know where humans really came from, in the old...
We know that the old lore was that the Vastaya Sharai were like the first peoples, and they mated with humans and more eventually became what the Vastaya are in humans.
Old lore book, it was mentioned that there was a great eastern migration, where all the mortals who inhabited this world were somewhere in the east and they migrated to the west. Which means that humans likely come from the old Kamavoran continent. But that of course means that they arrived in Ionia first, hence why First Lands. And since the Shuriman continent is the third land, we can assume that Valoran is the second land. Anyway, up to this point, the Darkin were always considered enemies of Ionia. But then the hero arrived, who cleaved Pra in twain, and destroyed an entire army of Darkin followers on his own. After which, he introduced himself as Zahen, which is most likely our official introduction of the new champion. And as you can see, if you have a look at their blade, it matches the one that Atakan has in the game now. Curious. Anyway, here, Zahen told everyone that the Darkin were originally the Ascended who fought for the Shuriman Emperor. But over time, he witnessed how the Ascended turned towards the darkness. Which is a really fancy way to avoid telling us what actually happened. Because we know that the Ascended became the Darkin after Emperor Azir got backstabbed, their minds got broken by the Void during the war for Ikathia, and they...
That's such a cool story though, because after Azir died, like the aspects weren't roaming the earth, like all that was left was the Darkin being the most powerful entities on earth. No wonder they thought they could conquer everything. This is so fucking awesome. I don't know what role this champion's gonna play, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be a little hyped about him, bro.
They all got corrupted by blood that came from an Ascended who tried to bind everyone. Which means that in order for Zahen to stay pure, He likely never encountered that one specific Darkin before, and potentially he didn't fight in the war with Icathia. But yes, long story short, the Ascended fell towards the darkness. And as he mentioned, Ionia was yet another battlefield to them. Because during the Great Darkin Wars, the Darkin fought for dominance because they didn't have an emperor. Which is where we get a really cool detail. Yunara said Zahen could stand by no longer. He felt responsible. I think. By this, the comic is referencing what I just said, that he, as an Ascended, was part of the problem that would eventually become the Darkin. But here he pulls out a really deep lore cut, because this is the Chalikar, which is the
Sivir's blade, bro!
Blade many of you may know as Sivir's weapon, which is a big reference to the story called The Twilight of the Gods.
Yeah!
In this story, after a lot of the Darkin gathered to negotiate about the war, they all got jumped by the aspect of Twilight, who used the Chalikar as a conduit for celestial magic and annihilated all the present Darkin. After this,
which is so crazy when you think about it, because like Sivir's weapon is super powerful, but all she does is chuck it at people. That's crazy.
The aspect of Twilight taught mortals how to seal the Darkin inside their weapons, which is exactly what this parchment is.
And also, it wasn't Zoe, it was her who Zoe replaced it. I believe, I don't remember her name, but I don't think it was Zoe.
This piece of paper is what was spread around the world to give the mortals a chance to fight back. This is essentially a manual for sealing the Darkin, which is also why at the bottom of the parchment you can see a symbol that is very close to Diana's moon. This is because that night that the first Darkin were annihilated, the aspect of Twilight used the power of the moon to destroy them. Because the moon is the other side of the sun, which created the Ascended in the first place. In fact, during the scene where everyone died, they died with this battle cry: "What the sun made, the moon will unmake." And so, carrying this message around the world, Zahen traveled around Ionia slaying as many Darkin as he could. This is what made the Kinku consider him an ally, but they still had to play it safe. This too could have been a Darkin trick. So the ultimate judgment, as always in these situations, came to the Eye of Twilight. The person who is essentially the Kinku judge, who is all about keeping everything in equilibrium. Of course, we know the Eye of Twilight as Shen, but of course, this is many years ago, and so it was someone else. Unfortunately, we don't know their name, but we can see them making a pact with Zahen. After this, Yunara was allowed to team up with Zahen to defeat the other Darkin. And here it is cool to see how the original myth wasn't that far away from the truth. It's just that the good Darkin was actually a proper Ascended. Regardless, in these scenes we can see all the Darkin that Zahen defeated. And what's cool is that we know them all. First up we have, who seems to be, Rast. We know this because Rast was referenced in the original myth, and while everyone else in this comic is a Darkin we've seen before, Rast was the only one missing, so by the process of elimination, that should be Rast. Though if you look closer, I'm not exactly sure if he's holding a scythe. In the original myth, he did, so maybe this is just a weird angle. But it is possible that he's just holding a different weapon. I mean, this is the Pra situation that I was talking about. So it can still be Rast. Also, look at how cool the original battle armor of the Eye of Twilight is. Can Shen get this as a skin, please? Anyway, next, Zahen also defeated Varus. Here you can see all the Ionian spirits reaching for him. This is a really cool reference to the original cinematic for Varus. I'll be honest, that's pretty cool. You can also see that he's being shoved down that well that you can find in Pallas. Of course, that one was also part of the cinematic. And you can even see that Varus is holding his original bow. With that said, there is something that should be mentioned here. Technically, this is a retcon, Because in Varys' new lore, that is also pretty old now, he wasn't sealed in Ionia, he was brought here by someone who then put him down that well. But I will let this retcon pass, because that story that was established there didn't really connect to anything else that happened. Maybe outside of the Twilight of the Gods story. So with this retcon, it's not like much changed. Also, hey, Arcane was mentioned! Jokes aside, I saw some people confused by the mention of Arcane. And I can tell you, Arcane knowledge is a reference to Zahen knowing about this incomprehensible magic, since it technically comes from the Celestial Realms, which could be a reference to Arcane in and of itself. But after this, there is a very special Darkin. Looking at the two blades, you can see that this is what Zolani originally looked like. Which means this scene is very important. You see, Zolani is the Darkin who corrupted everyone else with blood magic. Her original plan was to give hemomancy to all the Darkin with the promise of power. But later she would use it to bind all the Ascended to her will. That would be an effective way to stop everyone from fighting, while also becoming their god. Unfortunately, she never got to the second phase of her plan. She only managed to give the Ascended hemomancy, which is what was the key turning point for them becoming the Darkin. That's when they started using blood magic to morph their own bodies to be stronger. But she never got the chance to use hemomancy to control everyone. The reason why this is especially important here is because here you can see Zolani trying to corrupt Zahen. Now, Zahen still defeats her and seals her in her blades. We also know that this is the case because of Legends of Runeterra, but he couldn't do it without getting tainted. Remember this for now. And while all of this was happening, in the background, Yunara was preparing for the worst. With every defeated Darkin, she studied them to make sure that she could defeat Zahen should he ever betray them. And in the final scene, we can see Zahen holding up the Scythe of Rast. So was this the Rast that was shown in the first image here? I guess. Anyway, after all the Darkin were defeated, which means that Zahen has to be incredibly powerful, the Eye of Twilight passed her judgment, and since he honored their pact, Zahen would be allowed to go in peace. But Zahen wouldn't allow it. He started feeling his humanity fading, and he feared he would eventually become a Darkin too. While the comic never confirmed it, it is all but guaranteed that this happened because of his previous encounter with Zolani, who likely tainted him. And so Zahen willingly asked to be banished, just like all the other Darkin. He wanted to be placed somewhere where mortals could never reach him. And so he was placed into the Temple of Twilight, which was pushed into the Spirit Realm, with Yunara going there with him, because she was the one who knew how to defeat him. Now, after learning about this story, Xinzhou got confused because in the original Ionian myth, the maiden followed the patron into the Spirit Realm out of her devotion, while in reality, Yunara was there to keep Zahen in check. She was essentially his jailer. So Xin asked why keep all of this a secret from the rest of Ionia. And Kennen told him they didn't have time. Ionia had to heal, and so it was better to tell everyone a wholesome story. The twist.
Wasn't that like the Batman shit too? What the fuck?
Yunara was there to keep Zahen in check. She was essentially his jailer. So Xin asked why keep all of this a secret from the rest of Ionia. And Kennen told him they didn't have time. Ionia had to heal, and so it was better to tell everyone a wholesome story. The twist is, they all realized that someone had to know the true story, because someone used the demons as a distraction while they invaded the Temple of Twilight. Who could that be? Anyway, during this time, Yunara told Xin to board his vessel and go back home to warn Demacia that the Darkin have returned. But Xinzhou refused. The Darkin were a threat to the entire world, so he would stay here to keep Zahen imprisoned. while still staying in service to Demacia. So they all return to Koshin, where they meet another member of the Kinku. Unfortunately, we don't know their name, but inevitably they ask, where is Shen? The question that all Shen mains have been asking the entire time. And so Yunara told us that Shen is simply far away, and so they have to do it without him. That's the reasoning. So Kennen proposed that they would round up the acolytes and bring them to the temple. But the issue was that the Temple of Twilight was gone again. It was back in the spirit realm. And since it was in the spirit realm, the only way to enter would be through the Trials of Twilight. And so the name of the season has been finally mentioned. Anyway, the Trials of Twilight were like a magical lock that was enforced by the Eye of Twilight. This is why it was that person who was making all the pacts. They have incredible control over the spirit realm. Kennen warned them that only 1 or 2 can enter the trials at the same time. Any more and they would be rejected. And since Kennen is the one who has to stay outside because he's the one who can pull them out of the trials afterwards, it was Yunara and Xinzhao who had to go in. But not before we went through some preparations. And so Kennen called for the Woodweavers. And I would like to say, I told you so! When they first teased the skin, it was obvious some kind of Ionian woodweaving was at present. But unfortunately here they just give him his armor that's now made out of wood, without the help of a woodweaver. But the woodweaving comes in later and it's a really cool part. Anyway, Xinzhao had to take off his original Demacian armor because it was made out of petricite, with petricite being the Demacian material that has the ability to dull magic.
Yeah, and if the spirit realm is nothing but magic, it would like be a nuclear bomb in there and absorb all that shit. Or it would just get nullified because it only absorbs too much.
Of course, this wouldn't work because the Trials of Twilight are all about spirit magic. And so that is a really cool way to make up an excuse to make a skin. But yes, the trials would test their spirits to see if their intentions are honorable. And so they clad him in a Kinku outfit and his arm started glowing. I'll be honest, that one still wasn't really explained. We can just assume that the Ionian spirits favored him. I thought there would be something more behind that. But then we get to the really cool woodweaving part. Because next, they take Xinzhao's broken spear, which, as you may remember from the previous minigame, got stuck inside the body of a demon, and they also took Xinzhao's original sapling. This is the one that started Xinzhao's entire storyline in the first comic. And now the woodweaver evoked nature magic to grow it into a tree, with the tree extending the branch, which would become a new handle for a new spear. I have to say, that is kinda badass. And so, ready for the Trials of Twilight, Kennen opens up the gate into the spirit realm. The two hop in and they are immediately separated. And Xinzhao ends up in a vision of Viscero, which was the name of the original fishing boat where he was when he got ambushed by Noxians during the Noxian invasion. Of course, that is when he got kidnapped and he got brought into Noxus. In other words, this was the very beginning of Xinzhao's entire story. But to us, this was also the beginning of the Trials of Twilight, which is where the story unfortunately ends. And now we kinda just have to wait, I guess. Because this has been an absolutely amazing comic. And I had to go online and I had to look at the reactions, and yep, I'm not the only one who thinks this. Thankfully, the reception is really cool, and now there are a lot of people who are excited for League's lore. Who would have thought? And I'll be honest, I have also not been this excited for a story in a while. The setup for Zahen as a new champion is amazing, even though I still don't think this is what Zahen is gonna look like in the game, because Atakan still has to get his glaive, and so there's gonna be some kind of twisting happening. And suspiciously enough, LeBlanc has been missing the entire time. I wonder what kind of plot twist is gonna happen. But most importantly, since this all ends so abruptly, this has to be a setup for a new comic, or a new cinematic, or a new minigame. Who knows, maybe there's gonna be a game mode or something. But it is obvious that something is happening, and that something is already very exciting. But I have to say, even though I am freaking out, let's not keep our hopes too high. There is no way they are setting up the MMO, right?
Come on, bro. They're not doing that. And we saw what they did with the Ruined Kings, so there's a good chance this goes belly up. But it's dope so far! Anivia, yeah, dude. I can't believe they made Kitten look like a real character. I know, dude. It's so fucking crazy. What the fuck is wrong with Austin? Somehow Kamala Harris has returned. Oh my god. Of course they're going to attack Kamala Harris. Alright, let's get through some songs here. Got 2 tracks to do. Everyone's off watching the Big Push thing. Whoa. Someone else, it says love you, cost of love. That's got me scared. I gotta see what she donated. Do that off stream though. Alright, Moosehead. Yeah.
Get your choice of juice.
All right, you play. Then let's come back over here. Do. Mr. Sandman, won't you sing me a song? Whoa, are you playing, dude? I didn't tell you to start playing. Damn, this guy looks like my Jewish brother. I'm for it. I'm fucking for it. Come on, girl. What a weird
I don't got no diamonds on my wrist, but I spent over 100 racks on fish.
I spent 100 racks on fish? I don't even see no fish in there, dog. What are you talking about?
Racks on fish. My tank looking good though. I don't got no Lambo that I whip, but my home arcade is fucking sick.
My home arcade is fucking sick. Yo, this guy's videos are actually really intelligent, bro. And also, fuck yes, dude. NFL Blitz, Mortal Kombat 2, hell yeah.
But my home arcade is fucking sick. Cause baby, I've been hustling all my life. Now that I got it, I'm running the tab up, and I don't even double check the price, cause you only live once. And baby, I've been hustling all my life, and now that I...
Yo, I had this one in our, oh my god, the Squirtle is on point, dude. I had this in, so I had it downstairs, when I was living in, last house. We had this exact one, bro. I had all my consoles up, had all my figures up, dude. We had a low gravity couch, bro. Foosball table, bunch of shit down there, bro. And I hung out in that room like 4 times. What a waste.
Got it, I'm running the tab up, and I don't even double check the price, cause you only live once.
Burger time, burger! Marvel versus Capcom. Look, dude, you guys don't know. This is my jam. That was probably one of the best games I was at fighting games, was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But 1 was fire, dude.
Yeah, I don't vacation much at all, but I put a moose head on my wall for $6,000 on eBay.
You know, I'm in Canada now. I will defeat a moose. I swear it. Bro, this song is a fucking vibe. Like, not how often do you get someone that like is gonna flex on somebody without like trying to go in with like super fast bars and fucking losing their mind and shit? Like, you ain't got none of that here. Our boy's just vibing, dude, showcasing his shit. It's fucking gangster. Then again, like, half of this shit looks CGI.
On my wall for $6,000 on eBay. I ain't buying designer at the mall. I wear my own merch to the bank to make my cash withdrawals. Cause baby, I've been hustling all my life. Now that I got it, I'm running the tab up. And I don't even double check the price, cause you only live once.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And baby, I've been hustling all my life. And now that I got it, I'm running the tab up. And I don't even double check the price, cause you only live once. Yeah.
Yo!
Yeah. I ain't known for wearing too many rocks, but my retro Ninja Turtle toys are still in the box. Every day another package showing up that I forgot. Using Amazon or Amazon.
Yo, could you imagine being blitzed out of your mind and ordering shit like left and right? I feel sorry for anyone who has like an alcoholic wife or like an alcoholic mom that just gets on like Amazon, blasted out of their mind ordering shit by accident, dude, and like the next day they walk out, they're like, what the fuck?
Using Amazon or Ambien, something I do a lot. Spent an easy 50 grand on Sopranos related items. My portrait of Tony alone is almost tall as I am as a...
That's fucking gangster, bro. This is the dream, bro. I mean, the house is a little too big for me and shit, but just to like all the shitty nerd stuff that you love, bro, that like help define who you are as a person growing up, and just be able to like buy whatever the fuck you want for it, dude. That'd be like, dude, I would start ordering like real life replicas of like Dynasty Warriors weapons, bro. Like, give me like Lu Bu's halberd, dude. Give me Guan Yu's Green Dragon. You know what I'm saying? Fuck yeah.
Almost tall as I am as a kid. I grew up bumping Get Rich or Die Trying. Now I'm both rich and alive. Thank you 50 for the guidance. What these other rappers throwing for the strippers and the jewelry, I spend on some good drugs and a lot of Uber Eats. Buy my
some good drugs and Uber Eats. Hell yeah. Fuck, man. This guy's got the right eye. I love this guy. This guy's my hero. I want to be you, dude.
And a lot of Uber Eats. Buy my dog the best food. He eating as good as me. But you'd never guess my tax bracket if you looked at me. Cause I ain't out here flashing it. Cause money really ain't shit. If you're a shitty person broke, money won't change shit. You can't.
Facts, dude. Money don't mean a fucking thing, bro.
I ain't out here flashing it. Cause money really ain't shit. If you're a shitty person broke, money won't change shit. You can't solve all your problems with a simple little bank trip. More money, still the same shit. Cause baby, I've been hustling all my life. Now that I got it, I'm running the tab up. And I don't even double check the price. Cause you only live once. And baby, I've been hustling all my
Bulbasaur!
life. And now that I got it, I'm running the tab up. And I don't even double check the price. Cause you only live once.
Bro, we got Charmander, bro. Cubone and Dragon Knight. That's gangster. Hell yeah, dude. Oh my.
Imagine being able to build an app with
gangster, dude. That's the motivation to whoa, not dislike, like. What the fuck was that? Bro, I would like get a real life replica of like Final Fantasy VII's Buster Sword. All right, dude. Oh, he's got like 1 million views on this one. I might get copyright hit, dude. If I do, I'll miss you guys. All right, are we done with that video now? Or are you getting your ad in? Oh no, we haven't even started, dude. All right, let that one fully play out, bro. All right. All right, since no one's in the chat right now, we're gonna go ahead and switch this over here so that I can read these lyrics while they come up. Now, look, I have no idea who Akala is. For those of you that don't know, Rana, who's also someone who donated once before and asked me to watch Sleep Token, which I was glad I did, because I've heard one of Sleep Token songs that I really liked. I uploaded another one of their videos. It did not get a lot of traction, which is very disappointing. But we're going to keep diving into Sleep Token, even if they don't show up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck. Music's gangster. So thank you for that. Anyway, he said, hello again. I'd like to introduce you to Akala's Fire in the Booth. I hope that's the right word. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He's done 4, and the last one is my favorite. However, you should see the progression over all 4, so we'll start with 1. Please bring up the lyrics on genius.com, as I can promise you that you get many of the lyrics wrong otherwise. Especially because I typically use the built-in, lyrics in rap. I just can't keep up. Akala is a well-educated guy, an author, a playwright, a guest lecturer at Oxford, and a lot more. What the fuck? Okay. I have a lot more, and a lot more. I have a lot of respect for him. I love Ren's Fire in the Booth, don't get me wrong, but Akala's Part 4 is my personal favorite one, Fire in the Booth. It's less fun than Ren's, however. Heavier, lots of social commentary. Enjoy. And then obviously she put the link there now. All right, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And for those of you that don't know, you guys can always go to Buy Me a Coffee. We have a little About Me section here, and we do have a few soft rules. Please only give if you can. Your presence means more than your pennies. I'm not big on asking, but if you do make a request, I'll do my best to honor it. Try to keep it to 1 request at a time, so I can give each one of the attention it deserves. Again, soft rules. If you want to request 5 songs, by all means. There are no minimums. But if it's a piece of work, a song, a video, it must be something that can be reacted to with minimal issues. There is no minimum. Just be wise with your hard-earned coin. You've got a life too, and I respect that. Thank you for being here, for supporting the weird, the thoughtful, and the heartfelt. I'll keep making what I make, and if a cup of coffee fuels that journey, I'm grateful. With love and chaos, Will. Anyway, I try not to plug my stuff too much because it's kind of gross. Anyway, you can also just request things in the comments, and I will slowly make my way to them, but I have a lot of comments to get through and a lot of requests. Every week, my girlfriend fills out, or technically my manager now, she fills out a list of some of the ones that have been requested. And then I try to do at least one of these every day on stream. So we did Webby's Perfect Storm, which was requested in Discord. Victus's Relapse, because I was talking about Victus. That video will be posted soon. We, Mr. Vaynard Foray commented on something, so I wanted to respond a little bit. I told Mossy that I'd look into Live Sangster and Mossy's Keep On Walking. And I got Knox Hill and Rinse Fentanyl that we might get done today or tomorrow if I don't get kicked off the interwebs. Hell yeah. All right. If you are in chat, and I may not be able to see it because I got the lyrics pulled up right now. Anyway, we got 8 minutes. These are supposed to be some heavy bars. Let's see if we can kick off a stream.
Oh, you gonna dig this?
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yo. Okay. Yo.
I like you. You're like a tiger.
Yes, I grew up on a dole in a single parent family. Been through a little bit of tragedy. Yes, I was around drugs and violence before the day that I started secondary. That's part of it, not half of it. Get the picture, the rest ain't necessary. Growing up, got a little caught up. That ain't even half of my life. Also.
Okay. So yeah, it is very hard to understand what he's saying. He's got like a pretty heavy rap flow with a bit of an accent in there. So for my dumb American brain, it's hard to keep up. So it started with, yes, I grew up on the dole in a single parent family. Been through a little bit of tragedy. And that's going to rhyme with the second line here. Yes, I was around drugs and violence before the first day I started secondary. Maybe secondary is like a second school or the second grade. Okay. I mean, it's got a fucking... Bro, he's got a really good fucking cadence, bro. Especially if this is just off the cuff.
Yo.
I like you. You're like a tiger.
Yes, I grew up on a dole in a single parent family. Been through a little bit of tragedy. Yes, I was around drugs and violence before the day that I started secondary. That's part of it, not half of it. Get the picture, the rest ain't necessary. Growing up, got a little caught up. That ain't even half of my life. Also given the knowledge of self, that is all we actually need to survive. If you...
Ooh, okay. Alright, so it then comes in with, and yes, that's part of it, not half of it. So he's like saying this is just a fraction of his story. That's a bit of a bar right there. Get the picture. The rest ain't necessary. So he's saying, like, I'm going to fill you in with just enough so that you can color the story. Like, nothing else is required at this point. Growing up, got a little bit caught up. So, I mean, he probably got caught up with, you know, potential gangs, drugs, violence. You could talk about emotions or fads. It doesn't matter. You can impose anything you want within your own frame there. This is all we actually need to survive. Oh, I know. But that, oh yeah. Growing up, I got a little caught up, but that ain't even half of my life. Yeah, dude. That's also something that needs to be, like, said as a whole, bro. Like, do you know how often, like, you'll see someone that makes, like, a handful of mistakes or whatever, and then we'll judge them for the remainder of their existence, when it only makes up a small minority of who they are? Also, given the knowledge of self, that is all that we actually need to survive. Yeah, bro. Bro, we are the authors of our story, whether we like it or not. And it's up to us how we dictate our future. So often. Even if you're placed in shitty circumstances or shitty things, many people have shown that they can rise through those things and never give up. You must always hold on to that indomitable human spirit and understand that, like, typically, the tasks you're given in life, whether you believe in God or not, which I don't, usually you are given enough that you can handle. Now, obviously, there are going to be people that are on the outskirts of what I'm saying and the periphery that obviously are given things that are way beyond their means. But even then, man, some of these people, man, survive insurmountable odds. They do the impossible with a flick of their wrist.
I like you. You're like a tiger.
Yes, I grew up on a dole in a single parent family. Been through a little bit of tragedy. Yes, I was around drugs and violence before the day that I started secondary. That's part of it, not half of it. Get the picture, the rest ain't necessary. Growing up, got a little caught up. That ain't even half of my life. Also given the knowledge of self, that is all we actually need to survive. If you saw me, age 9, reading Malcolm, just fine. Teachers still treated me stupid. Students that couldn't speak English, they put me in groups with. The irony is, some of the first man to give me schooling, you were called youngsters. I already explained that we know what the truth.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yes, dude. If you saw me age 9 reading Malcolm, I imagine he's talking about Malcolm X. Could you imagine being, this is going to sound slightly racist and I don't mean it to be, of a darker skin tone, living in a world, like, obviously with his age, he's probably going to be like a millennial or just past that. Like, did he probably live through actual systemic oppression, even though it's not like in America like level, but like, brother, I can't imagine it still being good across the sea, dude. So like, yeah, you're gonna, especially when you're younger and you start like start idolizing opposition and rebellion and resistance and, you know, anti-authoritarian shit. It's really easy to look to Malcolm over like something like Martin Luther, you know what I mean? Nah, maybe that was just all racism and I apologize. But like the dude's over here reading Malcolm X or whatever, and the teachers are still taught like looking down to him as if he's stupid. Like further like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like their actions as poor entrepreneurs of like logic and wisdom, or like stewards of logic and wisdom, like their job is to ferry people into the grandiose, like wise fucking sea of knowledge. Like you aren't supposed to like gatekeep anything and keep people down. You're supposed to like grab someone by the hand as a teacher and pull them into like the majesty and the mysticism of knowledge and what it can do. So many teachers fail at this, unfortunately. But like if the dude's over here reading like Malcolm X or someone else named Malcolm that's not part of my culture, I don't know. You know, because I'm over here, I'm a dummy in America. Like, what the fuck are... Like, obviously the kid's not stupid. Like, I bet you, like, dude, that's like way beyond high school fucking reading comprehension right there. Students that couldn't speak English, they put me in groups, and the irony is some of the first men that gave me schooling you would call gangsters. God damn. You learn a lot from the streets, dude. Like, I'm a white boy, right? Like, so I'm a rock and roll kid. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm a hood kid, bro. My parents had money. Well, not money, but my parents were not poor. We never went without, you know. But my parents, you know, I was a bad kid, dude. Really bad kid. So my actions put me in these environments for better or worse. And the things you learn while you're out there. Like, I almost ended up in juvie after the middle school. Man, if I would have stayed that path, I went to a crazy kid school. I got locked up. I got my face bashed in by teachers. I got slammed into tables. Like, it was a crazy time. And then I even grew to love that school and the people I went to class with. And, you know, by my senior year, I was a very peaceful man. I'm still a relatively peaceful man. But, man, I got institutionalized, bro. Like, I remember when I entered the workforce, I was scared to talk. I would have to ask someone for permission to use the restroom. And, like, bro, the way my life was led, I saw a lot of homies die of gang violence, bro. A few got shot by the cops. Most of them died from ODs. Like, I'm telling you, bro, it doesn't... The streets teach you a lot of things, dude. I was just lucky that I had a caring mom and dad to fall back on that, like, further reinforce some of the positive messages they taught me. And now I spend my days trying to reinforce those positive messages back to them while they're on their crazy MAGA shit.
Just fine, teachers still treated me stupid. Students that couldn't speak English, they put me in groups with. The irony is, some of the first man to give me schooling, you were called youngsters. I already explained that we know what the truth is. They used to say, don't be like me. Yeah, I got a name and dough on the street. Nighttime comes, I can't sleep. It's the part that rappers don't speak. We don't...
Facts, dude. Bro, so many people that have looked the devil in the face and have done deeds that they will live for their entirety of their life. Some of these guys are hardcore. They will fucking slit your throat for the smallest offense. But if you were to have an honest conversation with them and they were willing to be, like, you know, unguarded, I guarantee you many of them would tell you not to pursue that life. It's the ones that brag about it are the ones that, like, you know, they didn't do shit. And there's a lesson there. They used to say, don't be like me. Yeah, I got a name and go on the streets, but when night comes, I can't fucking sleep. And that's the part of the rappers don't speak. We don't hit the road because we are hugs? That one, okay. I don't know what that one is.
They used to say don't be like me. Yeah, I got a name and dough on the street. Nighttime comes, I can't sleep. It's the part that rappers don't speak. We don't hit the road cause we're thugs. Don't come out the room, wanna sell drugs.
That's true. People aren't born into that life, bro. They're pushed into it. I do still stand by my statement that, like, given hard times, it shows a content of character to overcome these things. But I'm speaking from a privileged position. My parents didn't go without. You know, my issues were caused by my anger and the things that I chose to do. You know, with adoption, being fed a shit ton of drugs from a young age, all that stuff that I didn't properly process. Or sexual assault from something from the age of 4. Like, at the end of the day, I like to believe that our decisions that we make matter and that we have the power to, like, resist whatever it is. But for so many, it might be the only way out. And so they turn to a life of crime. Like, the environments that are created. This is why I say things all the time, that we are responsible for everything. Like, we create the environment that this guy's suffering. We created an environment where all we tell politicians we care about is the middle class. How about we should just tell the politicians to stop giving a fuck about the middle class, and they should spend their time fixing those that are falling behind. The middle class are the primary people who vote, so they always have to appeal to those voters. And because everyone's so fucking selfish and so self-serving, all they care about is their issues. It's so fucking annoying. Every one of us is responsible for these people that get left behind. And, like, the belly of the beast.
Explain that we know what the truth is. They used to say don't be like me. Yeah, I got a name and dough on the street. Nighttime comes, I can't sleep. It's the part that rappers don't speak. We don't hit the road cause we're thugs. Don't come out the room, wanna sell drugs. If we got the right guidance and love, would we fight people just like us? How could I knock the hustle to get by? How do you think I ate as a child? Judge no one, done many things wrong. Just don't boast about it in songs, but listen to my
hell yeah, dude. So he says, don't come out the womb wanting to sell drugs, which we already talked about. If we got the right guidance and love, would we fight people just like us? That's a hell no. People that are willing to kill their own people, like their own neighbors and stuff, they're doing that out of desperation. Now you can see some of these people grow up to be monsters. But unless you're willing to talk about how we as a society created that monster, your opinion is invalid on the topic. Even if that monster's done something horrendous to you, the society has made these people. You can hold them personally accountable, but at the end of the day, we as a society need to lift these people up. Those that are suffering under a tremendous weight, such as, you know, food insecurity, you know, that are impoverished, that are in poor communities, that are going to schools that are being completely funded by your taxes. Well, not the taxes of that community. And that community makes a lot less money. There is personal responsibility to go around for each person. But at the end of the day, again, we create the environment. We need to start pulling ourselves out of our perspective. He said, how could I knock the hustle to get by? How do you think I ate as a child? People turn to crime because it's an easy way to make money. And when you see that other criminals just become presidents, other criminals become CEOs, other criminals eventually become like a mega industry such as the mob, Like, where's the reward for being ethical when the entire world around you is on it? And we reward those people because they make money. Or they say the things we like. It's fucking wild.
It's the part that rappers don't speak. We don't hit the road cause we're thugs. Don't come out the room wanna sell drugs. If we got the right guidance and love, would we fight people just like us? How could I knock the hustle to get by? How do you think I ate as a child? Judge no one, done many things wrong. Just don't boast about it in songs, but listen to my older bars. I was just as confused as you probably are, but you grow when you learn. Travel and cut. One too many man, you know, get caught up. One too many man that could have been doctors, end up spending the whole life boxed up. You learn.
The beat is fucking super reminiscent of the early 2000s. And bro, his bars are like very reflective on the actions. He's not coming out here bragging about the terrible things he's done. Sometimes you gotta put that song out to let people know that you can be a cold motherfucker. But it's within these moments we get to see the truth of a man. The man is not putting anything on display other than his raw personal truth. He said, how could I knock the hustle to get by? How do you think I ate as a child? Judge no one. Done many things wrong. I just don't boast about it in songs, which goes against gangster rap that does. But listen to my older bars. I was just as confused as you probably are. That's a fucking rhyme. It's smooth. It's simple, but it's direct and to the point. But you grow up and you learn. Travel and fuck up. That's true, dude. That's true. One too many man, you know, get cut up. One too many man that could have been doctors ended up spending their whole life boxed up. The streets are cruel, man. And the battle isn't always with yourself, bro. You hear that shit all the time. At the end, the race. Nah, dude. In a small place, you're forced to combat each other for resources, money, respect. And I mean, you hear something like the word respect, and you're like, oh man, killing another man for respect is ridiculous, bro. We used to understand that meant something. Having respect on your name means something. It gets you favors, it gets you trust, might get you a job, it might... Bro. We used to, like, fuck up people if they disrespected our girl, you know what I mean? Like, that's what chivalry was all about, dog.
About it in songs, but listen to my older bars. I was just as confused as you probably are, but you grow when you learn. Travel and cut. One too many man, you know, get caught up. One too many man that could have been doctors, end up spending the whole life boxed up. You learn if you study, so set out just to make them money. No cover. It's all about getting poor people to fight with one another, so it's logical that us killing our brothers, dissing our mothers is right in line with the dominant philosophy of our time. But time is a cycle, not a line. Comes back around you.
Yes, dude. I mean, so time moves in one direction, but history repeats itself. That's very interesting. We can't turn back the hand of time. Once it ticks, it keeps going. But eventually, the clock will do a full circle. So though we are moving down one path, it's as if we're moving down the path in a constant rotation. Yeah, dude. That's a bar, dude. I'm listening, but I'm top of ladder. Did I miss Webby? Oh my god, I hope... No, it was not from my adoptive parents. No, don't worry, Nikki. Sorry, I had that minimized because I was reading the lyrics. You did miss Webby, but I'll make sure I upload the video ASAP. I already did it. I will let you know that song was Gangsta. Sorry. All right.
You regain your mind to be ready for the energy I challenge in my rhyme. Remedy the pedigree that
Okay, holy fucking Christ, this dude's about to go in. Alright, so he also said if you learn, if you study, it's all set out just to make them money. I believe that, even though I'm like the guy that defends greed all the time and corporations, and I'll defeat, you know, politicians. Because unlike most people in this world, I don't think that every person does everything for malice. I don't think that every person makes every decision through self-interest. I think that a vast majority of people, including politicians, business owners, and people that propagate the system, do so with the best of intentions. Many of the times, it's just impossible to see what every outcome of every decision is at the time of making it. Like, even someone as dumb, and as much as I like him these days, as George W. Bush, that his no child left behind policy did tremendous damage to many people that it was meant to help. But the principle was a good one. It wasn't designed to harm people. It's just that sometimes we try to make changes, and those changes have negative consequences, even if we make them for the right reasons. But I still believe that the system itself is propped up in a way to make money. Because unfortunately, as much as I love capitalism, capitalism has a drawback. It has a negative side effect. And the negative side effect is we will always find a way to make more money as quickly as possible and as effectively as possible. And in doing so, we often cut out the people. Capitalism should be about helping and lift people. Capitalism on very stringent rules is a good thing to have. But he also said, no cover. It's all about getting poor people to fight with one another. I don't really agree with that. I think that some of that is built upon our own human level of being tribes. I think that some of that is just intrinsic to human nature. Because even if we were to completely replace the system that we have now, that system would be perpetuated anyway. It's not necessarily about making money off of poor people fighting poor people. It's just that we can see this in real time through algorithms, through music. Just look at Spotify. People do what other people do. And then people will often find ways to differentiate themselves from the in-group and the out-group. There's a lot of psychological fucking research on this that you can look into that talks about the human's need. Like, there's a need drive that we have where we, in order to feel some level of comfort, we're going to go ahead and join an out-group and then make that out-group our new in-group. The best way you can look at that is with the LGBT community. Trans people felt super naked and alone for so long, but then by joining with the LGBT community, it gave them a sense of self, a sense of purpose. There's a reason why we all exist within some form of a tribe. My tribe is gamer. Like, I feel comfortable around gamers. And then when you get into that gaming tribe, then you have to differentiate between the gamers you do like and the gamers you don't like. So I'm not cool with people that play Call of Duty. I think that game is booty. But, you know, I'll see you on League of Legends any day of the week. Again, we do this to ourselves. Now, are there people that make money off of that, such as algorithms and systems that are designed in a way to, like, you know, stoke outrage because it's easier to get people to be outraged than it is to motivate people to do change? Yeah. That's not designed from the principle of making money. Even when we were nothing but tribes and gatherers, we found reasons to kill each other and be at war. Back then, it was for money, for resources. But it's the human nature to do those things, not necessarily some grand design by, like, people that control the government.
No cover, it's all about getting poor people to fight with one another. So it's logical that us killing our brothers, dissing our mothers is right in line with the dominant philosophy of our time. But time is a cycle, not a line. Comes back.
Yeah, but see, that's just, he's unfortunately, though it is very well wrapped, I like what he's saying, I like the message that we need to join together. But the dominant philosophy of our time is based off of enlightenment, of being the Enlightenment era. At least here, it used to be in America, but it's about self-ownership, self-rights, like self-worth, understanding that we ought to be respected. If you want to go back further in time, a lot of that wasn't around. And the people that were serfs, like, they were so poor they couldn't read and write, they couldn't learn anything, they were essentially slaves working for like a king. Nah, dude, I'd rather stay where the fuck I'm at. We can help lift people up without completely destroying the system.
Back around, you regain your mind, you be ready for the energy I challenge in my rhyme. Remedy the pedigree, the jeopardy of your mind when the world this leverage is a crime.
Woo! Comes back around, you gain Comes back around, you regain your mind. You're ready for the energy I channel in my rhymes. remedy, the pedigree, the jeopardy of mine. He said all of that in like 2 seconds. Let's go back.
Dissing our mothers is right in line with the dominant philosophy of our time, but time is a cycle, not a line. Comes back around, you regain your mind. You be ready for the energy I challenge in my rhyme. Remedy the pedigree, the jeopardy of your mind. When the world's this left is a crime. We can all fight with our brothers over crumbs. Harder to fight the one who makes guns. We can all talk get $2. Harder to be the one who seeks knowledge. If we understood economics with no money's nothing, think nothing of it. Money is a means to get wealth, not the wealth itself. And don't get confused, far from broke. All that you see me do, I own, but I won't hang.
I agree with a lot of what he's saying, but I think some of it's misguided. But it might come from a level of youth or whatever, or just pure anger. But as you get older, you stop seeing it from such a one-sided perspective. When the world's fucked up, lethargy's crime. We all can fight with our brothers over crumbs. Harder to fight the ones who make guns. That's stupid as fuck. We can talk all the shit and get $2. Harder to be the one who seeks knowledge. Like going after the people that make the guns when people are the ones that buy the guns and then use the guns to kill each other. The people that buy the guns and use the guns are at fault. Just because guns are made, like, that's a stupid line. The idea there is that, like, we wouldn't fight if we didn't have weapons, but that's not true. Tribes of gatherers and hunters killed each other all the time for resources. There's no time in human history where everyone just got along and was friends. Just because now we move to a society that has money in it, or wealth, doesn't mean that, like, it's intrinsically bad. All of our societies have always existed in this way. Those that have resources hoard resources. Doesn't matter if it's money, doesn't matter if it's like farm equipment, it doesn't matter if it's the farms themselves or crops. Like, people that have keep and those that don't want. Just the way it's always worked for thousands and thousands of years. Then he said, if we understood economics, we know money's nothing. Yeah, but then, like, well, what are we going to replace money with? There's always some form of currency. Either we're trading goods and services, but if we're trading goods and services, the problem with that is those that can't produce goods have nothing to give, and they get completely left behind. People that are handicapped, people that can't work, people that are stuck in a place. We've agreed on a uniform way of selling goods and services through money. Money is good because it gives us all access to the market instead of those that already have. So all these people that want to go back to like the barter system and all that bullshit, that's fucking the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. Having the access to give money to someone and then someone using that money to go make it, like acquire a good without having to provide a service is a good thing. I'm sorry, if I want to go make a meal, I can go to the store and I can buy the stuff to make a meal. I don't have to go out in the fucking woods and hunt something down. Or I don't have to give like the quilts my girlfriend makes to the farmer next door for his, like, no, it's fucking stupid. This is the dumbest shit on earth. I hate that line of thinking. Sick bars, stupid thought process. Think nothing of it. You should always think that money matters because money is power in this society. So that's also dumb. Money is a means to get wealth, not necessarily. Money is a mean to get freedom. It depends on who is using the money, not the wealth itself. No, exactly. Money is not the wealth. Money is a means to attribute your goals or get to your goals. It's not necessarily to be rich. If your goal is to have a comfortable life where you and your girlfriend or you and a friend or you and a lover or you by yourself want to create an environment that's safe for you and your loved ones, you do that through money. You go get a job, you build money, you save up money, you acquire the things you want, and then after that, you retire and you live a peaceful life doing the things that you want to do. That's the dream. And don't get it confused. I'm far from broke. All that you see me do, I own. That's kind of gangster bar. That's a gangster line.
talk get $2. Harder to be the one who seeks knowledge. If we understood economics with no money's nothing, think nothing of it. Money is a means to get wealth, not the wealth itself. And don't get confused, far from broke. All that you see me do I own, but I won't hang what I make around my neck. I know from where that the diamonds came, but I do literally own a library that definitely costs more than your chain. And businesses and property, far from starving. I eat quite properly and I don't care. Just said it for the kids who need to know you're not broke to listen. Don't know what I...
That's cool. All right, I like all of what he's saying right now. You don't need to hang bling around your neck. That's that fake gangster shit that doesn't mean nothing. That's just people like feeding into the game that makes them as impoverished as they are. And then it teaches younger people to like follow pursuit in that game and fall even further behind. It's bullshit, and we as a society need to stop idolizing these people. My heart is absolutely crushed because I missed it. Actively there for another feat. And that's why we need to start trade, not a monetary society. However, we are missing food replicators. Yeah, I would rather keep my money society any day of the week. Any day of the week. It's a simple process. I work for money. I use that money to buy the things I want. That's perfect. It's not slavery for doing any of that shit. I'm okay with that. But also, he said, I won't hang that around my neck. I know from where the diamonds came from. Yeah, diamonds come from pretty horrendous places in the past. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't. I don't get with that. But I do quite literally own a library that definitely costs more than your chain. Respect and businesses and property. Far from starving, I eat quite properly. That's a fucking bar. And I don't care. Just set it for the kids who need to know that you're not broke to listen. Hell yeah. And that's something that's true. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You're just as important to our society as anyone else. And that's why we need to lift each other up when we can. But again, we believe in the idea of self. So the individual kind of has to come first. Which is rough, you know?
From a liability, they never been shown nor told the difference, so they don't change situation. Richest man in Britain is Asian, that's significant, not coincidence. Asian people build businesses not by flossing, going out shopping, giving up the culture for everyone's profit. Who runs Bollywood? Indian people.
Hell yeah. Now what he's saying I fucking love. We need to get away from this idea that we have to be rich in order to be successful. You have to build things. You have to like contribute to your society to be successful. Work at a charity, help lift other people up, build a business that like literally funds people's livelihoods within your society. That's good shit. I don't know an asset from an asset from a liability. They've never been shown or told the difference, so they don't change situations. Richest man in Britain is Asian. That's significant, not coincidence. Asian people build businesses not by flossing, going out by shopping. Hell yeah, dude. Giving out their culture for everyone's profit. Who runs Bollywood? Indian people. Yeah, dude. You make culture, not this fucking trash shit where, you know, like just lift yourself up continually. Once your house is in order, see what else you can lift up, man. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. All right. Let's bring it back up in here.
Who runs on?
Wait, hold on. Let me move down here. Yeah. This is a long ass one, dude.
Businesses not by flossing, going out shopping, giving up the culture for everyone's profit. Who runs Bollywood? Indian people. Who runs our ish? So we shake our ass and dance as if racism just upped and vanished. But has it? No, it's right on course. You're beaten so bad you're trained to ignore. Let me not just make sweeping statements. Give me a second, I'll explain it.
Yeah. Go in, daddy.
Ounce of drug possession, there's more black people in jail in America than there is for rape and armed robbery and murder all put together. You can say they're just locking up thugs. Imagine they're in prison, every middle class kid that had ever held drugs. Oh, that's right, that'd be your kids, bigger than...
Hell yeah, dude. Except I was a good boy when it came to drugs when I was younger. I was like one of those straight edge dorks. I didn't start smoking weed till I was 33, bro. But yeah, I was beating the shit out of people, so that was my problem. So he asked, who runs our shit? So we shake our ass and dance, as if racism just up and vanished. You know, I used to defend people all the time when people would call them racist. I was like, dude, there's no evidence of that. But now it's 2025, and Donald Trump is in the White House, and a lot of people are going mask off. A lot of people that I've defended in the past. So I'm going to take my L on this one. Has it? No, it's right on course. You've been beaten so bad, you're trained to ignore. I don't like this mentality. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that it's dangerous to constantly point out that everything is racist or that the entire system is racist. I don't like that. Because I think it just makes people less likely to engage with things. But, you know, that's just my own personal opinion. I think that we can motivate people without telling them everything is about to trying to fuck you over. But they should be aware of the pitfalls that exist within our society. So you walk a fine line. Let's just not make sweeping statements. Give me a second, I'll explain it. For small amounts of drug possession, there's more black people in jail in America than there is for rape and armed robbery and murder all put together. Yeah, the war on drugs was dangerous. And even my boy Biden kind of spearheaded that. That was really bad because all it did is it terrorized the fucking poor African communities that, you know, were using those things to sustain themselves. You could just say they're locking up thugs. Imagine if they locked up every middle-class kid that ever held drugs. So there's a bar there. Oh, that's right. That'd be your kids.
And murder all put together. You can say they're just locking up thugs. Imagine they're in prison, every middle class kid that had ever held drugs. Oh, that's right, that'd be your kids. Bigger than that, what is going on with this? Prison in America's private business. They get paid 50k per year per inmate by the state. Just wait, also legally are allowed to use their prison inmates as slaves. Cheap slave labor, big corporations, they come out of jail when they can't get a job. So when we celebrate going to jail, we are literally celebrating enslavement. Add to that, the hood that you live in, engineered social condition that breeds crime by design. Where do you think you get your... And you can say that there.
I mean, every liberal on the planet is probably going to talk pretty poorly of the privatization of the prison system. No one likes that. But it's not like they're getting paid 50k a year with malice. See, this is the problem with this line of thinking and the victim complex. Is it makes you view everything as if everyone is using some like intrinsic evil against you. The government paying to have prisoners in there is not necessarily a bad thing. They're doing that because we believe in the Bill of Rights, that even if you are a prisoner, you are still afforded rights, and that you've become the product of the state. So a private business getting money from the state to have those prisoners in there is just funding that prisoner's existence. Now, we can talk about numbers, statistics, and whatever you want in that situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, because the government is paying them, that the government wants these people locked up. That's probably not the case. What probably is the case is that we have an intrinsic design in us, especially if we believe in the Bill of Rights, that if people are in jail and they can't work and afford things for themselves, we need to give them some form of money. Now, it's up to the individual state to use that money to the prisoner, but, you know, at that point, you're asking a business to do a certain thing. At the end of the day, this is just the state's job to, like, sponsor someone there. It's not like they're making an arm, like they are making an arm and a leg, but defending the prison system is really rough. But the idea that the state is paying them is not intrinsically corrupt. Just wait. Also, legally are allowed to use their prisoners and inmates as slaves. Well, that makes sense. Like, we can offer them ways to, like, reduce their sentences by helping, and it's part of rehabilitation. Yes. Now, it's also cheap labor. It can maintain and clean your roads. It gets the prisoners outside of the prison cell. Like, there's a bunch of evidence that show that prisoners actually enjoy getting out and doing things. So, It isn't like, it would do more harm just to lock them in their cage and throw away the key. Like, what, I mean, at the end of the day, what are we actually advocating for here? Should we just say if someone steals, we just cut off their hand and then kick them back into society? No, there has to be a penance. There has to be a time frame in which they pay the price for committing crime. Now, you know, all of this stuff should be transparent and it should be opted into by the prisoner. Like, if someone wants to work and reduce their sentence or like offer some kind of goods and services to the community they're a part of, while they're a huge cost to our society, they should have the right to do that. He says cheap slave labor, big corporations. They come out of jail when they can't get a job. So when we celebrate going to jail, we are literally celebrating enslavement. I don't agree with that at all. Again, I believe in individual autonomy and responsibility. No matter what circumstance you're placed in, you owe it to yourself to be a bigger person than the situation you're in. Like, I don't do the whole system is entirely to blame. No matter what, at the end of the day, it's your choice. So we're gonna disagree with that on that one. So that'll probably give me a lot of mean comments. Add to that the hood that you're living engineers social condition that breeds crime by design. Yeah, and you're just talking about red line laws or whatever. But again, you have to ask the question, like, who's at fault? Like, if someone designs a cage for you, and then you go in that cage and then play exactly the game that they wanted you to, yeah, fucked up they designed the cage, but like, why are you going there and doing all the stuff that they want you to? Like, it's really cool that this guy is spreading the message that, like, you don't have to do that. You can get educated. You can, like, look to knowledge. You can look to all these other avenues and be successful outside of being a gangster. You know? It's a double-edged sword. Because at some point, there has to be some individual autonomy brought to the table. Where do you think you get your 9? Yeah, there was a big drug push by the CIA to put drugs in black communities. Yes, redlining laws. But just because someone gives you all the means to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. You can't just say they're black. Oh, that's not the part I've heard yet. Like, we don't use this line of logic in almost anything. Like, if you're hanging out with a chick and she's getting really fucking hammered, and even though, you know, maybe she's giving you the moves, like, you still have to be a gentleman and turn her down because she's not right of mind. Even though every part of your body wants to dive in and do whatever the fuck you want to do, even though the little feller's propped up, even though she might be grabbing at that bitch, you still have to have moral character and say, sorry, you're intoxicated. I'm not going to go there. But I really appreciate it. And then you try your best to get the fuck out of the situation. At some point, you just have to own up to your own side of things. And if every person took more personal responsibility for the choices in their life, you could always get more people to agree with you and help you fight the systems you think that are holding you back. The biggest barrier to entry for so many people, especially of a lighter complexion like myself, you know, is we hit a point where we're like, well, hold on, it just sounds like you're bitching. And you probably have every right to bitch. But, like, is everything everyone else's fault? You know? You know what I mean? This is how you convince people to go MAGA. You just perpetuate a victim complex. This is why I don't take feminism seriously that often. I'm a feminist, but you hit a certain point where it's like, hold on, all the numbers are changing around. Everything's switching. It's also why I don't take men's rights activists seriously. I don't take any individual plight seriously. I take any group's plight seriously. I'm a humanist. And we can handle these things through, you know, having honest conversations and looking at things. But if you just play the victim card nonstop, it's getting a little rough for people like me to get on board.
By the state, Just wait, also legally are allowed to use their prison inmates as slaves. Cheap slave labor, big corporations, they come out of jail when they can't get a job. So when we celebrate going to jail, we are literally celebrating enslavement. Add to that, the hood that you live in, engineered social condition that breeds crime by design. Where do you think you get your man? You could say that they're just black, but I like to deal with facts. In the 1920s, you would have found in America black towns, prospering centers of economics to education to make you proud. But some people couldn't bear that the former slaves would not just slide down to the KKK and other hate groups. Burn those towns to the ground, killing hundreds if it ain't understood. You think you were always living in the hood? It's only been 60 years since they hung blacks and burned them, and that was so cool. They were your baskets, picnic baskets, even gave kids the day off school. Go see a lynching, have a picnic, it's fun to watch the little monkeys die. And people act a little dysfunctional. You wanna pretend that you don't know why. If your color means you can be...
Hell yeah, dude. We did a lot of terrible shit. That was why we had the civil rights movement and shit. And then things even continued after that. Like, I think we had the first black kid on, like, a football team in, like, Mississippi in, like, the 70s. Like, the movie Remember the Titans is all about that. That's crazy. And we should call that out as much as possible. Such as red zoning laws, anything that is actually like a form of systematic oppression. We can't hide from the dirtiness of our past. Americans have done a lot of terrible shit. And the idea that like former slaves could catch up to them in such a small amount of time shows that they have an insurmountable greatness at their fingertips. Yeah, we need to be critical of that. So, let's see. He said you can't just say they're black, but like, let's deal with facts. So that's a bar. In the 1920s, you would have found in America black towns, prospering centers of economics and education to make you proud. Sometimes, some of them were poor and suffering, but some people couldn't bear the former slaves would not just lie down. I got you, but this is also not an accurate rendition of the past. There were some towns that were doing good. There were some centers of economics pulling off. But again, like you're just doing Make America Great Again, but from the black perspective. Yes. You know, we should be very honest about those that did good. So the KKK and other hate groups burnt those towns to the ground, killing hundreds. Yeah, dude, they were modern terrorists for their time. If it ain't understood, you think you're always living in the hood. Nah, dude. There wasn't always a hood going on. Now, there's always been poor members of our society. Shit, it's only been 60 years since they hung blacks and burned them. True. And that was so cool. They were your pastor's picnic baskets. Even gave kids the day off of school. Yeah, dude, it was really disgusting. To see a lynching have a picnic, it's fun to watch the little monkeys die. The people act like dysfunctional. The people act a little dysfunctional. You want to pretend they don't know why. Well, yeah, it's true. Like living through that shit, that trauma is going to fuck you up. And it's going to show you a bunch of dark shit about the people that are supposed to see you as human. Because at the end of the day, you are human. There are no differences between blacks and whites other than the socioeconomic status that they're placed in. And again, our society needs to do more and more to lift that up. Luckily, the song is, 14 years old? Don't feel so bad, dude. We've also, in time since then, pushed more and more white people into, a socioeconomic downfall as well. And more white women are now raising kids without men in the house, just as the same that happened in the black community. After we went door to door and told black women that if they wouldn't have another man in the house, we would offer them a certain amount of money. We see this in real time. Like right now, don't feel bad, bro. Now we're leaving all people behind. Now it just comes down to class. Which is what it's always really been about. It's just back at one point, more white people were part of the higher class.
Your baskets, picnic baskets, even gave kids the day off school. Go see a lynching, have a picnic, it's fun to watch the little monkeys die. And people act a little dysfunctional. You wanna pretend that you don't know why. If your color means you can be killed and you're powerless to get justice about it. Is it difficult to figure out how you would then end up feeling about it? And that ain't excuses, just dealing with the roots of abuses that make a reality. We're a generation of young men speak of ourselves as dirt casually. That's America, this Britain.
That's true. Like, there's a reason why in the early 90s we saw the highest spike of violent crime around the world. You had people raising, newer generations of young black people that had suffered through unimaginable darkness, inhumane treatment, and it didn't just magically get better or worse. Like, people are going to live with actual trauma from their lives. And though a lot of the kids today aren't suffering under that trauma is remembered and taught to them by their parents who did live through those traumas and traumatic events. And their parents, and then their parents also suffered through their own level of bullshit. And their parents suffered through their own level of hardship that wasn't just unique to black people, but also all Americans, because being Americans in the fucking 1800s was fucking hard. And then before that, they had to fight for their fucking independence in a civil war. Like, African Americans that have come to this country have, mostly due to slavery, I think like a massive chunk of people that are in our country that are of African descent, or not necessarily African, but like other countries like Haiti and stuff like that, a majority of them are from Africa. Which is fucked up when you start thinking about it. These people didn't come to this land of their own choice. They were forced here by some means of making money. I don't want to do this anymore. Up and down, every 4 feet. It's taking forever. Sorry, just whining. Please ignore me. Never! But yeah, dude. Like, America's been a dark, disgusting fucking place for a long time. America's done a lot of good for the world. But we must never forget the darkest of our deeds. We must wear them, learn from them, and hope to be better.
Something similar, some different. In this country, the roots of abuses that make a reality. We're a generation of young men speak of ourselves as dirt casually. That's America, this Britain. Something similar, some different. In this country, the first enslaved were the working class. What's changed? Worse jobs, worse conditions, most tax. Look where you live and yet you go to the pub. Friday night, you will fight with a guy, don't know what for, won't fight with a guy. Suit and a tie, who send your kids to die in a war. They don't send the kids to the rich or the politician. It's your kids, the poor British, that they're saying to go and die in a foreign land. For these wars that you don't understand.
Yeah, but I mean, why do we fight those wars? Sometimes those wars have like real good reasons to be fought. And sometimes people's lives are the smallest cost to pay in that war. Like World War II, what would happen if we didn't fight? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
The poor British, that they're saying to go and die in a foreign land. For these wars that you don't understand. Yeah, they say you are British, and that lovely patriotism they feed you. But in reality, you have more in common with immigrants than with your leaders. I know, both sides of my family, black and white, are fed ghetto mentality, reality in this system. Poor people are dirt regardless of shade. But with that said, let's not pretend that everything is the same. When our grandparents came here to Britain, if you had a criminal record, you couldn't get in. That ain't protected from all of the stupid abuses they will be living.
Well, hold on. We shouldn't let criminals into your country. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, criminals are criminals. Why would you want a criminal to enter your country? Like, what? What? What?
The criminal record you couldn't get in. That ain't protected from all of the stupid abuses they will be living. Kicked in the teeth, stabbed in the street, many times firebombed our houses, put feces through our letterbox, and of course the cops did so much about it. Daily, up to the 80s, people spitting in my palm because I was a baby. But of course, that has had no effect on why today we are crazy. And none of this was for any good.
Well, it does have an effect. You know what I mean? Like, people that say there are no effect for people that live through racism are insane.
They were just dark and grieving to ease the guilt now for all of this treatment. Constant stereotypes are needed. So if I celebrate how big that my bricks that are flipping, clips that are sticking, chicks that I'm hitting, I'm playing my position. But if I teach a kid to be a mathematician, messing with the schism, how they gonna fill a prison when materialism is no longer our religion? What do you think we got now in Britain?
He said, but if I teach a kid to be a mathematician, messing with the schism, how can they fill a prison with when materialism is nothing but a religion? I agree with that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. And I think that needs to be done with every fucking American today, because our Americans are so fucking stupid. All you have to do is look at our goddamn political environment. Your brain will fall out of your ass.
So if I celebrate how big that my bricks that are flipping, clips that are sticking, chicks that I'm hitting, I'm playing my position. But if I teach a kid to be a mathematician, messing with the schism, how they gonna fill a prison when materialism is no longer our religion? What do you think we got now in Britain? Just like America, private prison, prison for profit. That mean when your kids go jail, people make money off it. So keep environments that breed crime, build more jails at the same.
Of course, people make money off of it. They have to run a prison. They have to get paid for work. Well, this is just another really stupid talking point that a lot of people use. Like, You get paid for what you do. That also stands for people who run jails. Now, maybe we should like find ways to like rework the prison system, but at the end of the day, people are gonna get paid to be there. And there's nothing intrinsically wrong with it being private entity.
Prison for profit. That mean when your kids go jail, people make money off it. So keep environments that breed crime, build more jails at the same time. Market badness to the kids in the rhymes. Long as rich kids ain't dying, it's fine. Get them to the point where some are so lost they actually believe if they don't celebrate killing themselves off. That it's because they're soft. Was Malcolm soft? Was Marley soft? Tell me, was Marcus Garvey soft?
Yes, they were soft. Their ideas were weak-willed. If your idea is violence, yeah, you're soft. You're gonna do something the easy way instead of the hard way. Yes, doing what Malcolm did was way more pussy mode than doing what Martin Luther King did. Again, they were sprayed by fire hoses, attacked by dogs, and they still chose peace. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's way harder than fighting back.
Malcolm soft? Was Marley soft? Tell me, was Marcus Garvey soft? Well, was Muhammad Ali soft? Nah, I think not, but they want us to think that the road is cool. Being on road is all we could do. We don't control the wholesale production, so who benefits from us moving the food? All thinking there's no way out of road life, but Malcolm X used to hustle on the roadside. And Marcus Garvey organized more than 6 million people with no Facebook or Twitter. Why is it something you can't eat? One of my own homeboys did attend straight in the boxing yard. Now what's he doing? Passing his doctorate. Don't tell me that it's too hard. Who trained you to believe you're inferior? Sung Bo Ebedo in Nigeria.
Yeah, but who trains them to be inferior is like the same thing that you're saying right now, bro. It's cool that you're giving like a different message, and I stand by that. But you're also telling them the whole system is out to get them and that they're a victim of the system, and like you're perpetuating the same thing that would make them hate themselves and think that there's no hope. Like you're not giving them anything of hope other than like the few bars where you're saying some beautiful shit. But a lot of this is just, you know, you're a victim.
Is it something you can't eat? One of my own homeboys did attend straight in the boxing yard. Now what's he doing? Passing his doctorate. Don't tell me that it's too hard. Who trained you to believe you're inferior? Sung Bo Ebedo in Nigeria are the remains of an ancient moat dug 1,000 years ago. 20 meters wide, 70 down. Round the remains of an ancient town that's 400 square miles around. 400 square miles around. Please don't believe me. It was a documentary on BBC, but we ain't studying history. Too busy watching MTV and
yeah, but see, like, this is no longer the black plight, dude. This is also just all Americans right now. Like, it didn't just affect you guys. Eventually, it affected everyone. Like, people are designed to be stupid. They are designed to seek comfort, not truth. We don't give a fuck about truth. We don't give a fuck about facts. We search comfort. That's why YouTube is such a huge thing. Allows us to like tailor our feed and look for certain algorithms that feed into that little lizard part of our brain that tell us that all the pretty little things that we want to hear, and then it makes us not address the issues in our life. And again, me and you are both playing into that right now.
BBC, but we ain't studying history. Too busy watching MTV, and MTV said wear platinum. Now everybody wanna go and wear platinum, and MTV said pop magnums. Now everybody wanna go and pop magnum. If MTV said drink prune juice, you will start hearing that in.
And the irony is MTV is not even around anymore. MTV wasn't the perpetuator of this. MTV died when music videos died.
Soon, hey, today I wore my Cartier. Is it now more important what I got to say? Oh, and I drive a Mercedes, by the way, so everybody listen to what I got to say. Does that make you all happy? But if my head's still nappy, think for myself, so some mad at me. But on the mic, ain't not one bad as me. All of this here's good for the rhymes. Put us in the same place at the same time, and it's clear to everybody I'm out of my mind. Some of these guys are running out of their rhymes. Clear to everybody that has got ears. I'm the guy that they just might fear, that they want to get near, but they can't have a peer. Oh dear, I'm hard liquor, you just like beer. Front on the kid for another 5 years. Come to my shows and some cry tears. Mean that much to them, it's a movement. I don't speak for myself, but a unit. Black, white, man, woman. Anyone who respects truth we put in. Dudes are like no dinner, we're just pudding. Yeah, you're sweet, but no substance pudding. You can never ever be with a level on. Oh.
Man, it's so crazy that even this guy was sitting here just begging for substance. Like, I watch a lot of debates. I love politics. But I will tell you, more times than not, politics break down to like pop politics. And not even like that. Half the time, I would love for us to get back to pop politics. I would love it if we could even go down dialogue trees. But 9 out of 10 times today, we live in an era where people exist in their own realities. They have their own ideas of truth and wrong and morals and justice and whatever the fuck else is fucked up in their head. Like, we don't even agree on the same facts anymore. I'd rather go back to the era where, you know, we were having conversations about systemic racism instead of whether or not the last election was stolen, or whether or not with Donald Trump was actual fascism, or what is fascism and what is a woman. Like, holy fuck, dude.
I don't speak for myself, but a unit. Black, white, man, woman. Anyone who respects truth we put in. Dudes are like no dinner, we're just pudding. Yeah, you're sweet, but no substance pudding. You can never ever be with a level on. Our songs get played out there in Lebanon. We speak for the people properly, not for the old fat guys in offices and the girls loving. Ain't fair, you can't even be bothered to comb his hair. Anyway, that's enough kissing my own ass. Back to the more important task of being so shower. I got half the hood screaming, knowledge is power.
His knowledge is power. What did that guy say in all those ads? Knowledge! And hell yeah, dude. Like, mad respect for anyone that pushes knowledge is power to people. We need, even if I'll disagree with you on the information when you go through your knowledge, or you go and like you research something, and we might disagree on the outcomes. But I'd rather you step into that arena and like rip me apart with like facts and reason than feeling. And yes, the more you know about something, the better off you come.
When people have to comb his hair. Anyway, that's enough kissing my own ass. Back to the more important task of being so shower. I got half the hood screaming, knowledge is power. And I ain't saying that'll change rap, bang, but I do know this for a fact. Right now there's a you on your block with his hands on his face screwed up. So he don't care, don't give a that he won't let nobody call his bluff, but the words go in. Open your shackles, once that's happened there is no going backwards. You start to see what is really happening. Who the enemy you should be attacking is. So read, stuck on the block, read, sitting in the box, read, don't let them say what you can achieve. Cause when people are enslaved, one of the first things they do is stop them reading. Cause it is well understood that intelligent people will take their freedom. Cause if we knew our power, we would understand we can't be held down. If we knew our power, we would not elevate not one of these clowns. If we knew our power, we wouldn't get arrogant when we get 2 pennies. If we knew our power, we would see what everybody sees, that we're rich already. But never mind, MCs go run for your mummy. I'm hungry, I run for my tummy. That's enough, back to worshipping money. I'm off, back to the study.
Alright, I like 98% of what he said. I just don't like the parts that like perpetuate victim culture. But one thing in here I really disagree. He says once you start to see what's really happening, who the enemy you should be attacking is. There is no fucking enemy. There is no power that controls the world. It's just us, people. There is no Illuminati. There is no super group. There is no government that's trying to like actively fuck you over. It's just us, people. Sometimes a guy gets in charge, like Trump, that takes advantage of a lot of people and does a lot of dumb shit. But he got there because of people. There is no Illuminati double-checking Trump. Like, Trump's literally lowering the GDP of our country. There's a retraction for the first time ever. No one that's in the Illuminati wants that. If it were real. No CEO wants to see their profits decline. None of these things are feeding into the theory. Like, we're seeing it in real time that all of these systems that we believe that were out there, that were like meant to keep us all down, none of it exists. If they did, Trump wouldn't be doing the shit he's doing. At least here in America, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, again, the broader message that he was putting out was phenomenal. The bars were fucking, what's the word I've been running on my stream? I can't remember. The bars were immaculate. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Bro. This shit's awesome. The only issue I have is with a few little lines that he threw out. We need to spend more time looking at why people go down the routes they go and how they fall into the logical pitfalls they do. And then, more importantly, we have to find ways to combat that. And I think we do that through communication, transparency, and conversation. We need to be able to communicate our ideas effectively. More importantly, we need to be able to debate our ideas. We need to be able to withhold scrutiny and stand up to it. If our ideas can't, maybe we need to readjust our way of thinking or come up with a new conclusion. The way we do science is probably the way that we should do everything. Peer review is a good idea. But that's just my thoughts. I'm excited to see what this young man's got. I'm really excited to see how he's evolved over the years, because this is really old. Ha! No wonder I've never heard of this guy. He raps about truth. The older I get, the more this makes sense. I'm a little different. The older I get, some of it makes less sense, but some of it makes more sense. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to call it. I got to take a fucking shower, get all cleaned up. You know what I'm saying? But, hell yeah, man. I'm going to start cropping and throwing videos up. We're about a day and a half behind the Jimmy Kimmel one. I'm about to upload right now once I hop off of this. And then when I get out of the shower, it'll probably be done rendering or uploading to YouTube. But as always, thank you so much. See you guys in the next video. Be safe. It's getting crazy out there. And also, knowledge is power. The game. Be safe, Blue! I love you.